Always working the AT&T smartphone, the great Andrew Filipponi, who has more fans at the Monaca SOI than I do.
Oh, come on.
So Mike and Tom Nardelli, here's your man, putting them up on the big screen today to talk a little Super Bowl. And one thing he and I both agree, you can't argue with greatness, and Bill Belichick is great.
I don't think he's as good as Lombardi, but he's
Oh,
the second.
come on.
He's the second greatest coach of all time.
Well, listen, my son always educating me, that great Catholic education at Quigley Catholic. You know, he's going for his 5th.
Yep.
He's in his 7th, but he also won 2 with Parcells. So if he wins this one, he will be on a coaching staff that has won, and my math is as good as my son, but 7 Super Bowls. Come on, Andrew. That's a lot of Lombardi hardware.
I know, but you know, he'll always have at least part of his reputation is stained by what they did to win those early Super Bowls. Do I think that it totally diminishes their accomplishments? Absolutely not. They've won too much to say that the only reason why they were able to accomplish this is because of the videotaping that they did in the early 2000s. But it's definitely part of his career biography. I don't have to play that moral game with Vince Lombardi, who won 5 NFL titles, including 2
in a row,
Super Bowls, Super Bowl I and Super Bowl II. But
right.
I mean, we're splitting hairs here. We're talking about a guy that I believe will not squander this opportunity. I would be shocked, and I know the line in this game is only 3, but I would be stunned if we all come into work on Monday morning and the Atlanta Falcons are Super Bowl champions. It would stun me.
By the way, Westwood One Radio will have the game on 93.7 The Fan, and he will be filling in on Monday morning. Don't miss him on your way to work, 93.7 The Fan, with the paralysis of the analysis. Here's something else. I think a lot of people just don't understand. They don't only beat teams, they pound teams into submission. And that 3 points still has you thinking that Tom Brady could really have his way, as he did with the Steelers, who Ben Roethlisberger early said that the Steelers basically are the little brother to the New England Patriots.
They haven't beaten him in an important game since Ben's been here. They've won a single game in New England, and that was when Matt Castle was the quarterback. They won a game here 5 years ago, but it was in October. I mean, that doesn't count for much. So the Patriots are clearly superior to the Steelers right now.
What's the reason for that, other than talent, meaning Brady and Edelman, and I just go on and on and on, LeGarrette Blount? What?
It's I don't think you have to make it all that complicated.
Is it coaching?
It is the combination of an all-time quarterback, which is the most important position in the sport, with the brains behind the operation, which you put those two things together, and it allows for Belichick to demand more out of his players. He's able to not give in and at times make excuses to allow his players the freedom that they have on other teams. I think he is a master tactician. I think defensively, his credentials are second to none. I mean,
That's his background.
I think he is the greatest defensive coach in the history of the sport.
Wow.
Hey,
I mean that's a compliment. I mean, that's a great analogy.
But I think he's the greatest defensive coach in the history of the sport. And now he is armed with one of the greatest, if not the greatest, quarterback. I would still put Montana over Brady by a razor-thin margin. Mm-hmm. But he's 39 and he's still going, and I have to allow for the idea that Brady is going to pass Montana very, very soon. So it's those two things, and then there's the ripple effect where it makes them better in other places. Gronkowski, when he plays, you've got the best tight end of all time in the lineup too. They're just a juggernaut, man. I mean, they're just an insane machine. They never seem to have a down year. When they slip, they go 11-5 and lose in the playoffs. They don't go 8-8. They never have losing seasons. It's tremendous that in a league built on parity, the Patriots never go away.
Back to the defensive comment. No names really on this defense who has not given up 100-yard rushing performance all year, rated number 1 in the league. So how does he put all the pieces of the puzzle in place when they're not even that famous puzzle pieces to begin with?
I think everybody has, and this is not untrue of other teams, but I think Bill Belichick has made it his chief objective as a defensive coach to find what it is that the other team does best, and if you have to use extra personnel, or if you have to really get creative with your game plan to mitigate or minimize that one area, he's going to do that. I look at this game, for instance, and I don't think he's going to let Julio Jones beat him. And I think if that means he's got to put 2 or 3 guys on him, fine. If this is a game where Taylor Gabriel has a big game or Mohamed Sanu, so be it. But he's not going to let Julio Jones end up on that MVP stand with the trophy.
You think they're going to play their receivers tight? Physical? Bump them at the line of scrimmage? Bump them early and often? Or is it just going to be up close and personal, but no shoulder pads touching each other?
I don't think you'll get that physical with all of them. I mean, maybe Gabriel, because he's a smaller guy in the slot, you think maybe you could slow him down at the line of scrimmage. I think with Jones, they'll try to make sure that the play stays in front of him. Mm-hmm. I think that they'll...
So if he makes the catch, that's where it stays.
Yeah, I think he's got good tackling corners, and I think he'll slide either McCourty or Chung, the safety, over there to make sure that there's not a big play. If there is a catch, that, like you said, they take away the yards after. Does
Matt Patricia, the defensive coach, send an extra man to try to push or flush Ryan out of the pocket?
Maybe sometimes, but I think with... I know Ryan has had an incredible year. He will be a deserving MVP.
He's going to get it then Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I know how good they've been all year, but this is a different animal. I feel like Ryan is going to make his share of mistakes in this game.
It's a big stage for him.
Well, yeah, and he so far in these playoffs, he's passed every test. But this is the final exam, and there's a lot of material on this test that he has not seen yet. And it's the, like I said, it is the, it's the hardest thing in football, I believe, to do is beat New England on the road. That's number one. Mm-hmm. I think the second hardest thing in football to do is beat the Patriots when they've got 2 weeks to get ready for you. And that's his assignment in this game. If you look at the Super Bowls the Patriots have lost, it's been because the Giants' defense both times got the job done. They held New England to 14 points in Super Bowl 42. And I don't think there's any way on God's green earth that Atlanta's defense slows down New England's on Sunday. Fat chance.
And I've asked this to a few people. Let me ask you. By the way, Andrew Filipponi, Westwood One Radio, has the game 6:30 on Sunday, and then he is back Monday morning with all the post-game analysis on 93.7 The Fan. Don't forget the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday show at 11. Coons Market on.
Is that when you make your pick?
I've already made my pick. I'm taking New England, really given the points. I mean, I just don't see them losing, especially coming off that little bit.
I'd give 10 in the game if I had to.
Really?
I'm really that confident.
Well, even though everybody's kind of kissed and made up, don't think for 1 minute he's such a competitor. Whether it's tiddlywinks or a game of pool, Brady wants to prove a point here. Come on, and as do the Patriots, and Mr. Kraft too is probably their biggest cheerleader. And with all due respect to the league, I can't blame them. And for everyone out there who continues to point a finger at this organization saying they're doing something illegal to win all these games, you're wrong. They're just better prepared. It's their time. Sometimes it just happens that good people find a way to get good things done on a regular basis. And I believe the Patriots are just that, such an organization that has worked a little harder than everyone else. But could LeGarrette Blount be a key in this game? We're all expecting, these passes to Edelman and Hogan, but in reality, it could be him just eating up the clock and pounding and pounding and pounding that line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I think that Atlanta's defense is one that is more built on speed. Mm-hmm. Seattle's defense, that's where Dan Quinn, their coach, comes from. They were a more physical defense.
Right.
So I think if you go with Blount, you go big against small. And you also...
Explain that to me.
Well, I'm saying Blount is a big physical running back, and Atlanta is not a big physical defense. They are a small, quick, fast defense.
Beasley in that category.
So, yeah. And Beasley's their best defensive player. So you neutralize him if you give the ball either to Blount, or you neutralize him by getting rid of the ball quickly. Mm-hmm. So I would expect Blount to be a big part of this game plan. Now, when you think about prior Super Bowls with Belichick, and I can think of 2 in particular, when they played in Super Bowl 25 when he was with the Giants and he was the defensive coordinator. And they beat that Bills vaunted offense with Kelly and Reed and Thurman Thomas and James Lofton, four of those guys on the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
They held Buffalo to 19 points. You know how they did it? They had the ball for 40 minutes. Otis Anderson, he was the MVP of that game. Mm-hmm. He looks a lot like LeGarrette Blount, the same kind of running back.
Great analogy.
And then I think of even more recently when it was New England and St. Louis. You had the greatest show on turf. Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce. Antoine Smith had a big role in that game. So we're talking about running backs that were not household names, but were bigger, stronger backs. And I think they'll do the same thing. I look for, people have asked me, who do you like as an MVP in this game other than the obvious candidates, Brady and Ryan? I like either Dion Lewis or LeGarrette Blount as guys that are sleeper, under-the-radar players that I could see having a big game.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the brilliance of young Andrew Filipponi.
I'm not that young anymore. I'm catching up to you.
No.
Yes, I am.
Listen, you need an hourglass to catch up with me. Believe me, you got a long way to go, kid. That star power is soaring, and I'm just here going, boy, look how nice that star looks.
You ever talk to Namath about Super Bowl III?
Oh, a couple of times.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I've really made it a pact to let Joe just enjoy his retirement.
You think he'll be there on Sunday?
If the league's smart, why not? He's still one of the shining stars. And really, the reason why you see these press conferences that are like 1,000 deep, it's because of Joe Willie, Broadway Joe, still the man. All right, ladies, as you are, and I mean this, folks, Westwood One Radio with the coverage, and then him Monday morning. Please don't miss him on 93.7, and I am a fan.